Welcome to Zero Love, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the sports world with the most fascinating people in the game. From athletes to coaches to executives to innovators, we bring you their stories, their grit, and their passion that defines sport at its core. And today we have Australian-Argentinian Seone Mendez coming to us to talk about her journey traveling around the world, being a professional tennis player, how injuries put a pause on her career, and why her sights are now redirected towards pickleball and she's training and getting ready for the US Open. I'm JY Aubone. Let's get into Zero Love. Seone, welcome to Zero Love.
Hi.
How's everything going? Where are you right now? Are you back in Miami?
Yeah, so I'm back in Miami now and just training at the moment.
Okay. And what part of Miami are you in?
I'm in Westchester, so it's like right in front of the college, FIU. I'm not sure if you
Okay.
know, but
All
yeah, around
right.
that area. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm from Miami.
Oh, right. I wasn't
So,
sure.
yeah, West Kendall.
Okay. Oh,
And then,
nice.
and then I'm going to surprise you one more time. También hablo español, porque
Oh,
mi familia es argentina.
no way.
Yeah, the whole
That's
family, everybody. So I'm like you,
that's
where you're,
amazing.
first born in Australia, I believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
me and my brother were first born in America.
Oh, no way. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll do it in English. I don't know how many Spanish listeners we have right now, but yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Wow, I had no
Um,
idea.
yeah, so it was great to get you into the event last week in Zephyr Hills. What was
Mhm.
that like?
Honestly, I have never done anything close to what I did on the weekend, so that was a very fun experience. Very different. So it was definitely intense.
Good.
It was I felt a little bit of pressure too because coming into the matches, obviously, actually from when I play, I kind of start off a little bit slow in my matches. So going in, just getting thrown in with no warm up and just playing points and you have a timer right next to you, it's a little bit intimidating, but it's definitely a great experience and I would recommend it to anybody because it's
Yeah.
super fun.
Well, because also you didn't play college tennis, right?
No, I didn't. So having a team on the side was also a little bit different for me.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
a lot of our players played some form of college tennis, so to an extent, they kind of
yeah.
understand the energy. But for players that didn't, it is very different.
It's very different. I've played club matches before. That's obviously like a team environment, but it's definitely not the same because your team is on court with you and you have people screaming at you and there's little things that you can get distracted by, but honestly it was super fun.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you know, first season coming up. It'll be interesting how everything turns out. I'm excited for it, but the feedback from the players is always really interesting to see the things that they were paying attention to, the things
Hmm.
they were noticing, also depending on their background. But let's get into your background a little bit because you're born in Australia, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Argentinian parents.
Yeah, so I was born in Sydney, Australia. My whole family's Argentinian. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, everyone's born in Argentina. So, and my parents actually moved to Australia when they were very young. So, and they met in Australia, so that's why I was born there.
No way.
But yeah,
Is the rest of your family still in Argentina?
so we're all kind of spread out. They're a little
Okay.
bit everywhere. My immediate family, my parents and my brother, were in Spain at the moment, living.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I first went to Australia, first restaurant I go to, Argentinian server. There's a fair amount of Argentinians there with they do the study abroad, right? That was something
Okay,
that was being
yeah.
explained to
There's
me.
yeah, there's a lot of students that obviously go to Australia, but there's a little bit of everything in Australia. You get different cultures. That's what Australia is kind of known for, all the different cultures and all the different types of people that are there. It's very hard to find an Australian
Yeah,
living there, to be honest.
yeah. Well, and then so at what age did you start playing tennis? Because your dad played soccer. So how did tennis come about?
So actually, I started when I was, I think 5 or 6. So,
Okay.
my dad, we actually moved to Malaysia for a little bit, for my dad's soccer. He played for a team over there, and that's kind of how I started. We went to a tennis court and just started hitting balls. And my parents were like, "Oh, she has good hand-eye coordination, so let's put her into lessons, see how it goes." And then it started from there.
Uh, do you have memories of being in Malaysia? Like,
Yes.
I was gonna say because what was that like? I mean, gosh, this takes things to a whole nother level as to what was it like living in Australia? You're living in the U.S., Malaysia. I mean, the differences. What was that
Yeah.
like?
I mean, Malaysia is very different, especially if you're living there. I mean, visiting is a completely different story, but living there, and my dad was he was pretty big in the country, so everyone knew who we were. So we walk around and get people come up to us, and it's definitely a completely different lifestyle. Um, yeah, but honestly, it was super fun. I enjoyed it. I was very little too, so I had my parents around with me all the time, and yeah, we would just go watch my dad play most of the time and train. So I enjoyed it, to be honest.
I feel like an idiot. I didn't think like Malaysian soccer was like a big thing, but that just
Well, it was kind of towards the end of his career,
yeah.
so yeah,
No, but gosh, that just shows it's soccer's everywhere. Tennis too, though,
yeah.
right? Tennis too. Tennis and soccer are everywhere. They might not be the tennis and soccer might not be the biggest sports in the U.S. They're growing, but they are everywhere. And how many years were you all in Malaysia?
I think we're about 2 or 3 years living there.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
back to Australia.
and then back. Yeah.
Okay, any other sports besides tennis?
So I did a little bit of soccer, obviously. My
Yeah, kind
parents
of
kind of
have to.
just threw, yeah, you gotta have to do that.
Yeah.
My brother plays soccer now professionally too, so but I didn't enjoy it, honestly. I went on for my first game ever, and I cried and ran off. So I was like, I'm never doing that again. It was not enjoyable for me. It was a little bit intimidating actually with like so many people. I was a very shy kid, so I didn't like to be in group environments.
Mhm.
But yeah, and I also did a little bit of golf. So I
Okay,
was I was half decent at that, and then kind of had to pick one, tennis or golf.
so tennis took the
Yeah,
lead.
yeah, but did.
All right. And then how did things transition from there to like around what age were you just really taking tennis seriously? Only thing
So
you were doing tournaments?
yeah, I mean, I started traveling when I was about 10 or 11 years old. We did our first like family trip to Europe when I was 10. So we actually it's an interesting story because we had to sell boxes of chocolates to go to Europe because my parents were like, if you want to go, you got to earn it. So
I love it.
yeah, so we sold, I can't remember how many boxes of chocolates. So we went around in Australia just to like companies and saying, hey, could you buy some chocolates to fund my trip to Europe? And yeah, we ended up getting the money for it. Took my coach, my parents, my brother, and yeah, we all went together. So that's how it kind of started.
That's amazing. So, and
Yeah,
where'd you go in Europe?
we went to Croatia. I'm pretty sure we went to can't really remember. It was Croatia for sure. France, and I think it was only a couple countries. That was it. But we yeah, we played this tournament called Smokeball Bowl, which is now like pretty popular, and a lot of young kids when I played are now pros. So you know Alex Dimina,
Yep.
he was there. I'm pretty sure he's played it. Alexei Popperin is
Yep.
where I met them at that tournament. So yeah, we all kind of like grew up together, and it came from there.
And so then things just really blew up from there.
Exactly. Hmm.
And then, so you did the whole ITF circuit and everything.
I did. I did. I never did the junior circuit. I just did ITF juniors.
Yep.
I didn't do the tennis Europe.
Okay.
But yeah, I did play ITF juniors. I was 25 in the world at one point. Played all the Grand Slams, junior Grand Slams, and yeah.
What's so hard for Australians, it's not talked about a lot, is how much you have to travel.
Hmm.
Like, even you're so far away from everything, but there's such a small amount of tennis as far as like these international tournaments,
Hmm.
the big ones. They've put in a lot more of the smaller ones, which is great. And a lot of Americans actually just go and just spend a lot of time in Australia playing those tournaments now. But when you leave the country, like you have to really like pinpoint like when are you coming back? It's such a long flight, huh? I mean, how was that
Yeah.
for you as a junior? Did you feel like you were traveling like a lot?
Well, I mean, that was kind of why we moved to Spain actually, because just the traveling was ridiculous. Like you have to go for at least 3 to 5 months every time you leave the country because to make it worth your while, you can't go there for 2 weeks because it takes 30 hours to get to Europe, and then jet lag just messes your body for at least a week. So you've lost a week of training, and then you need a proper week of actual training to play the tournament. So yeah, you need to go for at least 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy that because Australia is. I always said if I'm not going to live in the United States, Australia is going to be the place. Like I
Mhm.
love it there. But then when I hear about all these Australian tennis players that basically have to move their families and base out
Yeah.
of Europe because they just can't make it home, it's too hard. And I mean, I don't want to get into intense tennis, but in a way, it's what led us to like, how can we provide opportunities for tennis players to make a living without being forced to make choices like that? Because
Hmm.
that's just crazy. And I've always thought, man, Australia's such a good place. The tournaments are so great there. They should have so many more tournaments and to be able to just stay there for 2, 3 months.
Yeah. Well, they are kind of doing it now. So the lead up to Australian Open, they start, I think it's August, late August, October, they start having like, 35,000s. They start having 75, so a little bit bigger events. But the thing is, the competition is very different because no European is going to travel to Australia for that amount of time before Australian Open. It's
Yeah.
very expensive. So, I mean, it's great for the Australians because they have a bunch of tournaments, 6 or 7 events, but apart from that Australian Open period, after that, there's nothing. They have to travel.
Yeah. And so then what was it like playing in Europe? Traveling around, you can go to so many countries so quick. I mean, that must have
Mhm.
been enjoyable.
I mean, I love it. I love traveling. That's one of the best things about tennis. I love traveling, seeing new places. And it's so fast. Like for me to go from Spain to Italy, it takes an hour and a half, or to France, it takes an hour. I can drive there, and it's so much cheaper. So it makes everything so much easier, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny. We have the Spirit and Frontier Airlines here, but there's so many airlines like that in
Hmm.
Europe where you just,
That's all it is. It's all
yeah, it's
those
like
kind of
30, 40
airlines.
euros, boom, on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So where in Spain were you all? Because you moved
Uh,
to Spain, right?
yeah, we moved to Valencia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you had to like the red clay.
I love clay. Like clay's my favorite surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Which Americans need to understand, red clay is
Is not the
drastically
same.
different than
Yeah.
green clay.
When I actually my first tournament that I came to play in the US, they said clay on the ITF website, and I was like, okay, great, this is fantastic. I come here and it's green clay and it's so fast. I'm like, what is this? It's not the same. It's slippery. The balls don't bounce as high. Yeah, it's in between clay and hard, to be honest.
Yeah, it was actually a good draw whenever we would get a European that came over or a South American and they think they're here for these clay
Exactly.
court tournaments and they haven't played and it's like you can kind of still play some pretty good hardcourt tennis.
Yeah, you
And
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then junior career went great and then straight pro.
Yeah.
Uh,
Straight
How
pro.
what was that decision like? I mean, did you ever consider going to college tennis or you're like, no, this pro's been all the way that like let's go.
I mean, I got a bunch of messages from like colleges and stuff to ask me to go, and they were gonna sponsor me to go or get a scholarship. And I just felt like with my personality, I felt like if I would have gone to college, it might have ruined my career a little bit. Just because I feel like I needed to. I'm very like level-headed and very straightforward, so I know what I want,
Mhm.
and I felt like going to college for 4 years and not knowing what's gonna happen after that, I just didn't think it was the best fit for me. So I just wanted to go straight pro. And I was
And
playing well at the time, so
yeah, well, and
yeah.
I think what people forget is you can always go back to college if
Yeah.
you really want to. Sure, you can't play college tennis, though now with intense maybe you can still play some team format stuff.
Hmm.
But you can always go back. And people always think like if they go pro, that's it. College is done forever. It's like you can still get the college experience being a student, go play pro 4, 5, 6 years, and if you didn't make it, then you can go back. I mean, there's this fear. I wonder what your conversations have been like because you've been spending a lot more time in the United States now with uh, what have you had conversations with players that are like thinking about going to college and stuff, and you share your experience?
Um, it's very tough. I feel like it depends obviously what level you've gotten to as a pro. And I feel like it's a very good idea to have a plan B. So if tennis does not work out, like what's another option for you outside of that? And I haven't had many conversations with players because a lot of them that I know are still doing the pro life.
Yeah,
And then after they play pro, it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go into coaching now. So yeah, but for me, I don't feel like I would love to get like a degree or something in mechanical engineering. Um, But yeah, we'll see what happens. Kind of.
So why mechanical engineering? That's not
I have
something you
I
typically hear
have
from
a
a tennis player.
I have a passion for cars. I really like cars.
What's your favorite car?
So I really want a Nissan GTR. I
Okay.
want like an R34. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My favorite game growing up, well, one of my favorite games was Gran Turismo playing on a
Oh,
PlayStation.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, those cars were the best to race with.
They are.
So I mean, do you fix up cars and everything, or just driving them?
I would love to fix up cars. Like I don't know how to at the moment, but that's something I really want to learn.
Have you been in the raceway down in Miami over in Homestead?
Oh, I've seen it, but not really.
Okay, yeah, because they have a bunch of different types of races
Hmm.
in South Florida. I know there are some people there that they go race just different types. You can race cars, you can race the little mini Formula One cars like for juniors and
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
They do a lot of stuff over there, so you got to check it out.
Yeah.
So you transitioned to pro, and what was life like? How was that for a few years?
Um, so transitioning straight to pro, I means you're traveling all the time. Um, the good thing is you kind of get used to it, but it's pros and cons. I mean, you get used to it, which is great, but it's also sad because you're always on the road. And then the struggle with obviously getting points and then defending your points, and then the money side of it because it costs a lot to travel, accommodation, and not having sponsorships and stuff like that. So, I mean, I love it. I kind of love the struggle of it, the beginning of it. Um, but yeah, it's not easy. I had a few good results already coming out of juniors, so that was great for me. It was a little bit of like a bonus kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's the traveling and not seeing your family. Obviously, it depends how close you are to your family and your friends and stuff. But I'm very, very close to my family, so being away from them all the time it gets tiring mentally. And what a lot of people don't see on the outside is how exhausting it is mentally for you and playing day in, day out, training and being on the road every single week. And then when you come home, you don't necessarily get a break because you still need to train for the next event. So mentally, it gets super exhausting.
Yeah, how many weeks do you think you were traveling per year?
Oh, I have no idea. I was honestly trying to keep it to 2 to 3 weeks in a row,
Yeah,
uh, and then come back for a week, and then
but
yeah,
over 25, you'd say.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and no sponsors, you said when you were playing?
So I coming out of my junior career, I was with Wilson,
Okay,
and then throughout my junior career, I luckily had a sponsorship that would cover my flights, which
okay,
was amazing. So that helped. And then in my pro career, I was with Head and Lotto. So yeah.
okay. And
Mhm.
did you have a team traveling with you, or
So I
what was
would,
that like?
yeah, I would usually travel with my dad, or I
Okay,
would travel by myself. Yeah, and I had a few coaches here and there, and then they didn't work out. But yeah, I would travel with a coach or by myself. Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I mean, being in Europe, did that help to be able to like get back and at least not spend so much time? Like, were because for me, a lot of times when I left internationally, I felt like I was so far from home where
Mm.
it's like, okay, sure, it's not a instead of a 3 hour flight, it might be 8 to 10, but I mean, still, I can still get home the next day. It just felt so much farther. I mean,
Mm.
and that made it harder for me. And that made it more to where, like, if I'm going to go that far, I better win, which then I didn't. So, because I put so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So, what was that like when you were traveling? Did you stay mostly in Europe, close by? Because you can stay a lot in Europe.
Well, when I went to tournaments, I played a lot around France, Italy, those places. So the good thing is to find a flight the next day for cheap. It was great.
Yeah.
Because obviously in Europe and it's super cheap to fly back, but that was obviously the good thing about living in Spain. So if I lost on a Thursday, I could come back Friday and then leave Sunday or Monday to the next event. So
And it
yeah,
wasn't that hard on the body because the flights were so short.
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
That's where,
I think the traveling just hurts your body so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's not talked about enough. Just
Mm,
being on a flight, the dehydration, getting up and down, mentally it's exhausting. The airports, just dealing with
yeah.
that is just exhausting.
Hmm.
They don't talk about that enough. But did you ever go play in Argentina?
I did. I actually played 2 or 3 years ago in Argentina in Tucumán.
How was that?
It
Because
was
it is
definitely an
different.
experience. Yeah, it is different. It was definitely an experience. I only did 2 weeks there, and that was
Yeah,
about it. But I
I,
enjoyed it.
I laugh at the Americans when they tell me like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go play some, some tournaments in Argentina and get on the clay," and I'm like, "No, like you're not ready.
Yeah,
You gotta be it. That is slow, right? I
it
mean,
is
it's like playing
slow.
in the mud,
Yeah,
and so if you're not like physically and mentally ready, like it is." I mean, that's why they're turning out so many like great players, just because
yeah.
you have to
And
be
you're
a
playing
beast.
South American, so you're grinding there for at least 2.5 hours.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and it could be 6-2, 6-2. It was two and a half
exactly.
hours.
Hmm.
So, and so, how many years did you end up playing? Because I know recently you got hurt, right?
Yeah, so I did, I came out of juniors at 18. I'm 25 now, so I've done a couple years on the tour. But 2 years ago, I hurt my back. So I was in Wimbledon for qualifying. I played first round and I tore my quad.
Oh,
Yeah, so I played first round of qualies with a torn quad, which wasn't the smartest idea, but that's fine. And then actually went to see the physio and said, "Hey, look, I actually have a little bit of pain in my back." This was the next day because I woke up and I was like, "Oh, that feels kind of weird." And I went and they were like, "Oh, it's honestly just tight. Just stretch your glutes, stretch your back, you'll be fine." So like, okay, no worries. Played a few more months, played about 4 or 5 months, and I was like, "Oh, this pain's not going away." And then I went to another WTA event, and they're like, "Look, you should get an MRI." Turns out I had a bulging disc and two like little tears in my cartilage, which is what the pain was coming from. So I took about 5 months out. I went to Australia, did some preparation for Australian Open, and then yeah, so they gave me a wild card into AO, and unfortunately, I wasn't ready for it. I don't think because I had no matches under my belt. I couldn't play any lead ups, just because my back wasn't ready. And then honestly, I didn't have a bad year. My ranking dropped to about 600 or about 400, and then after that year, I got my ranking back to about 240, and then my back started playing up again, and it was just that whole year was so exhausting mentally because I would just wake up all the time in pain, or I would play a 2.5 hour match on clay, and you're playing girls that are top 200, so they're not easy matches, obviously. And it's hot outside, so I would wake up the next day in pain, and then dealing with that training in pain. Yeah, it was just exhausting, so I kind of decided to take a bit of a break. I took about 4 months off, and then came back again, and then had a bone bruising in my thumb, so I had to take another 3 months off to get that ready. And then I kind of decided, I was like, look, I need to take a break, a bigger break than this, because they did want me to get cortisone. And I was like, I don't think that's the best option for me. Just in the future, that could hurt you and I could make it worse. So yeah,
yeah, but no surgery, right?
no surgery, no, no.
Yeah, because a lot of people go quick to the surgery,
Yeah,
but then surgery can bring a lot of other problems in the backs
exactly.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, because what they don't talk about with the injury stuff is just doing rehab. It just gets,
Yeah.
oh,
It's
that's tough.
exhausting. Like, and you're just not even preparing for anything. You don't know when you're coming back, and you're there for 5 months every day, and it's just like, what for? Your brain just does, it just asks you so many questions all the time. So,
And not making any money.
exactly, exactly. You can't train. I mean, you can't even like be on court coaching or doing things on the side because that could hinder your rehab process. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's crappy about um, being a professional tennis player. I mean, golf has it too, but golf makes a lot more money, so they can kind of get away with some of this stuff a little
Hmm.
more. Well, you don't play, you don't make money.
Exactly. And you
You
don't
know,
win, you don't make money.
and then you don't win, you don't make money, and even the
Exactly.
money you're making is probably not that great in the first place.
Hmm.
So it just like you need to win so much to even make it worth it, and you're just sitting there draining your bank account,
Yeah.
and it's hard to put that aside. It's one thing when you're 18, 19, and you don't really know better,
Hmm.
but then when you start to kind of get a little bit older, you pay attention to finances, and you want to like buy other things in the future, a house, and you realize like this is going in the opposite direction, right? And then you deal with it again, and then you have the other injury, then the thumb, the quad, the back. That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of the things that was so tough for me mentally was the money side of it. I think not having a sponsor to help you out with like the traveling and the accommodation and everything, and then being out for so long, you just you kind of question everything. It's like, oh, should I stop now and just try and get a job, or just to fund if I come back my tennis journey kind of thing. So yeah, that's the I think one of the hardest parts of being a tennis player is definitely the money side.
Yeah, I've seen some people like early mid-20s where they try that, where they're like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going
Hmm.
to go take a job, teach some tennis, make a lot of money, and then I'll come back. They usually don't.
No, it's very tough to come back to because then because you're not even training, you can't train. You're on court coaching for I don't know 5 6 hours. Where's the time to train? And
Yeah.
then you're exhausted from coaching. So it's yeah,
And
it's
then you
tough.
don't get a break from the sport either, right?
Exactly, and
So,
you're there all day.
yeah. So I've seen that route. Yeah, it generally doesn't work. But before the injuries, was there ever a point where you thought about quitting or just not going pro or stopping early? I quit like 3 times before I finally actually quit. Did you ever have any thoughts like that, or for the most part, it was pretty smooth sailing on that?
No, there was many thoughts of quitting, honestly. It would be losing 2 or 3 matches in a row, and it's just like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Like I would enjoy something else. But yeah, there was always thoughts of quitting because it's not easy, especially being by yourself all the time, and not having like your parents with you or a solid team with you. Yeah, it's not easy. It was tough.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this because I deal with this a lot with juniors, and I've experienced it to be normal, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it, right? Where, you know, these teenagers now, 15, 16, 17, they lose some matches and they say, they're so mad after a loss. They're like, I just want to
Mhm.
quit. I quit. I don't want to play. I quit. And the parents freak out. They're like, they want to quit. Oh my gosh, what happened? I'm like, it's fine. Like, all the kids say this at some point and they're like,
Yeah.
no, you don't understand, like this is bad, like what's going on? I'm like, it's fine, like sure, there's a point where if they say it too much it's annoying, but do you agree it's like it's pretty normal out there for
Yeah, I think it's normal. I honestly, I never really said to my parents that I want to quit. Like I never said it to them. I would say it to myself all the time,
yeah,
but I think it's pretty normal, especially because you're so angry after a loss. You train so hard, and then you go and lose first round. It's tough.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think it's more normal in tennis because in other sports, especially when it's a team sport, if you're not doing well, they're going to pull you out before
yeah,
you lose and just really blow it for the team. So you have some bad moments, but then a team can kind of come in and then maybe win the day for you, for the team. So it doesn't feel as bad, right? And so
yeah,
you're kind of protected a little bit for a longer period of time. But tennis, it's brutal. It's all on
yeah.
you.
You're by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are you up to now?
So I'm actually trying pickleball.
All
So
right. What
yes.
made you get into that?
So I had a friend that was playing at the time.
Was it
And
Kat?
yes.
Okay, because Kat's the one who connected me with you.
Yes, exactly. So she kind of told me about pickleball. I think maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago. I was like, nah, that's a bad sport. I'm not doing that. It's a bad version of tennis. So I had all these thoughts of pickle. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. And then I actually played it once or twice, and I was like, wow, I really enjoy this. And it's honestly so much easier on my body.
Yeah.
I don't have to serve. You barely smash, which is great. The matches are 30 minutes maximum, so it's so much easier on my body, and I really enjoy it. It's a small court. I'm pretty fast, which helps. But yeah, the points are short as well. So but yeah.
Are you playing both singles and doubles?
So at the moment I'm playing singles. I just started literally like 2 months ago, so the beginning of the year. So I'm just playing singles for now until I get my name out there a little bit, and then start playing some doubles and mixed doubles.
And did I see something that you're gonna try and play in the U.S. Open as well?
So I'm playing US Open
You're playing the
actually.
U.S.
Yeah,
Open.
I
When
play
is
on
that?
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's in Naples, so I leave Sunday afternoon and then I play Monday.
I've heard about that in Naples. I didn't know it was the U.S. Open. My
Yeah.
brother went to that, and my parents actually went too because my brother flew down, so my parents went to also see him. They're like, there's more people here than like some small professional tennis events.
Yeah. It's honestly, I think it's one of the biggest pickleball events during the year, so I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. Do they have any team versions? I don't know much about pickleball, like, but are there like team events at all? Like
Yeah.
not just doubles, but actual teams?
So there's the leagues that they play. I think it's called MLP.
Okay.
So that's obviously different teams, and you guys all play against each other, and you play singles, doubles, and mixed doubles with the team.
And it all just counts towards the
Yeah.
team
So
wins or
it's
losses.
like a tally or a leaderboard, I think it's called. Yeah.
And then, so how much is tennis going to be a part of your life, or you're still deciding?
I mean, I'm actually coaching, so I'm still playing all the time.
Okay.
I'm just not playing tournaments at the moment, so
Uh,
because obviously I play a couple matches and my back starts hurting, but
uh,
um, yeah. But I'm gonna just give pickleball a year, I think, see how I go this year. If anything happens, great. If not, I might go back to tennis.
yeah.
So it's definitely not out of the question. It's definitely hanging around, that's for sure.
Well, there's definitely time, right? I mean, players are playing to
Mm,
37, 38.
mm,
I mean, obviously the players that are doing that, they're top 100, right? Making that kind of money.
exactly.
Um, but so how was your back after the Zephyr Hills event?
It was okay. It was actually great because honestly, I don't have to. I'm not playing for 2 hours, so yeah, I'm getting subbed in and out. If I'm playing well, I'm playing the whole time. Or if I'm not playing well, I can come out. Or if I'm in pain, someone else can go in. So which is great. But yeah, it was pretty quick, so I woke up fine.
Yeah, you know what? When I talk about a lot of the players that we try to bring into the league, they ask me like, "Well, what's the training like? What's the schedule?" I'm like, you know, I don't imagine you needing to train 4 hours a day anymore. I'll just say that because you're never even going to play 2 straight hours. So I do wonder how physically it's going to be for people. The problem is they're just going to be conditioned to that. So anything, even a tough match will be tougher because they're not used to that, right?
Mhm.
They're not used to anything tougher. But I also wonder too if by having that team format, you're a little less afraid to discuss your injuries or play through them.
Yeah,
Uh, because like when we played and it's the regular tours, like you're either in, you're out, and like you said, if you don't play, you don't make any money, and then you have to win. So you're just kind of like, I can't go 3 weeks without playing. I got to make some money.
yeah,
So like if it's not bad enough, you'll play through it, but then you do it long enough, and then you get hurt.
exactly. You make it worse for yourself.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you tried padel?
I have. I really like it. But I don't think I could do that professionally. It's tough. Off the walls is extremely tough. That's the one thing like us tennis players struggle with is for sure off the walls because we have the reflex. It's volleying, but a lot of the time when you get the volley, you have to let it go. Like the pros will tell you like let the ball go, come off the wall and then play. That's the hardest part.
And it's more physical for sure.
Yeah, at the
Um,
points, you have like 30, 40 shot rallies.
yeah, with a
Yeah.
lot of, well, it's not like a full overhead. Some are, yes, but yeah, you have that
Yeah,
movement moving back.
exactly. You're moving up and back all the time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. No, I tried it for the first time a couple months ago, and I was just
How'd that
blown
go?
away. So
Good.
pickleball, I need to do it a little bit more.
Mm.
I tried it once. I don't know. So I'm moving back to Miami, so
Oh,
maybe I'll
good.
have some more people to play with.
Yeah, yeah, we should play.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my family's still in West Kendall, so I won't be too far.
Oh, cool.
So and I skipped it over because I didn't want to go back in the middle and ruin some of your stories. But I was really curious because you played in all four of the Grand Slams,
Hmm.
and which one was your favorite?
French Open.
Why?
I love the atmosphere. I love Paris. So and the clay. Like I love playing on clay. The balls. I can't remember which balls they used, but I remember that they bounced really high. So for me, I loved it because I play like more like a Spanish. So I
Yeah,
look for my off forehand all the time. The balls and the courts give me time to run around and use my forehand. So I really enjoyed it. Love the atmosphere. Love the people there. Yeah, and the tournament, just a lot of the other events, US Open is really big. So Australian Open's huge, and Wimbledon is unique. But the other two Grand Slams, the actual site is so big that you feel like there's so much space everywhere. French Open, I feel like it's more intimate with the players, and there's a lot more people, coming to watch, especially the outside courts.
yeah. To me, I called the Australian Open like the festival of tennis. It just feels like people are there for an all day thing. They
Oh
hang
yeah.
out. They have the music on the other side. They have all this stuff going on. Wimbledon is just like, it's just a place of its own. It's just a
Wimbledon
story.
is unique. Like there's no tournament like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then US Open to me is just an absolute party. It's just a party. But French Open, there's this passion for tennis, and you can
Exactly.
feel it. Like
Mhm.
people are so excited. We've had this talk about like doubles and all that stuff in the past. Like doubles not doing that great on the public side of stuff with people watching. Go watch a doubles match in French Open. Like the courts will be full everywhere.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just love it. So I have to ask, what's your favorite food? Argentinian, Spanish, or Australian? Though what
Oh, I'm
Australian's
even
very
gonna
different.
I'm gonna do you a new one.
All
Italian
right,
food.
which one?
Italian.
Yeah. Well, okay, but then so Argentinian food has a big Italian influence in it.
It does. But I mean, the Argentinian meat is just the best. You can't get any better than that. But the Italian pasta and pizza, I'll have that every day of the week.
Yeah, for me, if I had to live and eat all about food, Italy number one, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was really sad yesterday because I had to give away my Argentinian grill.
No.
So, yeah, because I'm moving into an apartment, and so then I was like, where am I going to put the grill? And if I put it in storage within a year, now I've paid more for storage than I ever did for the grill. So yeah, because my dad has a huge grill in his backyard, so then I want it. Yeah, tough times. So, and then I'll leave you with this one final question, which you might have answered already, but what would you say was the most intense challenge of your life on the just the career side of stuff?
Oof, that's a good one. The most intense, I think. Honestly, I just think being alone.
Yeah.
Traveling by myself, week in, week out is the hardest part of being a tennis player. I feel like, just because you feel alone and you feel like you don't have the support, and you win matches by yourself, you lose matches by yourself, and I think the hardest part for me was I won a few tournaments alone, and then you go back to your hotel room and it's just like, wow, this is great. I'm by myself and just have a beer alone. So yeah, I honestly I won a tournament once and cried because I was by myself. So yeah, I think that's the hardest part.
I remember the first pro tournament I won, Peoria, Illinois, win the tournament. There were actually some people watching the final there. It was nice. And but I didn't have a car, I didn't have a coach. Uber didn't exist back then. And taxis were way too expensive. So I called the hotel, waited for a shuttle, and it took them an hour to pick me up. So all the fans, everybody was left, and I'm just sitting in the grass outside the club because the club's closed. And I'm just waiting for my hotel shuttle and I'm just like, had a meal by myself at Cheddar's.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. And I'm like, so this is it. I did it. So, but now, because of what you said, I have to ask, is it possible that that's what's also attracting you to pickleball as well? Because to me, the pickleball community, even though you can have your singles and doubles events that are similar to tennis as far as, this tennis has singles and doubles, there's a community around pickleball that I think is quite incredible. Have you picked up on that? Do you feel the same way?
So what I absolutely love about pickleball is that because there's so many events within the tournament, there's just always people around, and the atmosphere is fantastic. So you feel like you're playing a Grand Slam every single event that you play. The atmosphere is amazing. The people are so nice, and the great thing about it is it's 2 days, 3 days maximum. So you go and you know when you're coming back home. That's the one thing I love about it. So yeah.
Yeah. They don't talk about that in tennis, but as the tournament goes on, less and less people are there. You get to semis and finals, and it's like dead silence. Like it's it feels empty there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really don't like is if you're playing a lower event, so like a 15K or something, you get to final and there's not many spectators. They're not gonna go watch, especially if you're in Turkey or if you're in Egypt playing. You're gonna get 2 or 3 people there watching, and then there's no players around, so it's sad. It's like I'm playing my first final ever, for example, and you have like no one there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. Gosh. Well, look, Thank you for jumping on the podcast today, sharing a little bit about your story.
No
Good
worries.
luck at the US Open.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.